Hi, everybody. I hope you've had a fantastic Easter weekend. We certainly had lovely, lovely weather. So thoroughly enjoyed a few days off and time to just kind of recharge your brain and not do very much. So I hope you had also had the same sort of experience that I did. But anyway, I thought what I wanted to do today was talk a little bit about remarketing. I think this is such an important topic because a lot of people don't put up remarketing on their websites. And it's, to quote Molly Pittman, leaving money on the table. You are literally leaving money on the table because people are visiting your website and interacting with you. And then you're not actually carrying on the conversation once that conversation has started. And when I say conversation, they've seen you, they're starting to interact with you, they maybe like something that you've done, that maybe read something that you've produced, and then you're not really taking advantage of that to remarket to people. So what is remarketing? Simply, it's those ads that kind of follow you around on social. So in other words, if you've looked at a pair of shoes, sometimes you might see it in your social feed. Now, it's not just for products, it's also for services. You've just got to think a little differently. What do people want in the next step when you remarket to them? So I suppose when you build a system to try and get a lead into your business, so whether you're selling products or whether you're selling services, what you're doing to people is putting them into what we call ostensibly a funnel. So it means you go from one step or journey. So you go from one step in the system to the next step to the next step to hopefully purchase, make a sales call, do something, take an action, and convert to become a customer. At this stage, you're still just a lead. So what that is, for me, the system or the funnel is like a map. It's the map of what you want people to do. Where do you want them to go from A to B? And then remarketing is like giving someone signs. So in other words, I'm following the map and I'm going along, and I'm not very good at following maps. So I'm one of those people that need a lot of signs to tell me to come back on. So in other words, I might go down a side street. When we're online, it's exactly the same. What happens is we are busy looking at something and then we maybe lose focus because the phone rings. So I'm in the middle of a webinar or a presentation and the phone rings and I don't finish it. But that doesn't mean I'm not interested. It just sometimes means I forget. I take the call and then suddenly I've got to do something urgently. And we all know what it's like. We've got attention deficit because there's so much stuff that we need to do all day, every day. And so our attention spans are very short. And I need some signs to help me get on track. So remarketing would be then if I didn't finish the call or the webinar that I was on, it could then remarket to me and I could set it up so that it remarkets to people who don't finish. And it says, hey, Helen, I saw you were interested in the webinar. You didn't get a chance to finish it. Here is another link for you to go back and do so. So that explains, hopefully, what remarketing is. I hope it does anyway. And I thought I'd give you, the other reason I also love remarketing is Frank Kern, who's another person I really love listening to. I don't know if it's just because of his lovely Southern accent, but I think he makes a lot of sense. And he talks about the fact that you can absolutely be guaranteed that you shouldn't expect people to do what you want them to do. They will always do what they want to do. And everyone's got their own timescales and schedules, and things happen and life happens in the middle of doing something with business. So that's the reason you need to remarket to people. It's not that they're not interested. It's the same as myself and Yafit do work together. And the reason she does telesales is because the first time you call someone, they might be busy. It doesn't mean they're not interested. It just means not right now. So they need to be able to call them again and talk to them again. And remarketing is very similar to that. It's like a telemarketing system online. So 3 ways that you could really use remarketing very effectively in your business. You can set this up. You set it up to remarket to people on very specific pages on your website. So maybe you have blog posts. And when you put a blog post out, you should be able to put a pixel on there to say when someone reads that blog post, and if they don't take the action, so in other words, they don't click on the button, a button maybe to download something, you could then remarket to them in their social feeds and on Google to say, hey, you've read the blog site, here's the download, and give them a button to download. and get back into your system. So you can look at all your different pages on your website and think, well, what's appropriate for people to be remarketed to? So maybe you don't have anything for them to download with your blog post, but maybe you would like them to take a next step. What would that next step be that you would like them to take once they've read your blog post? And then remarket to people with that next step. So the next thing that you can look at is, think about your pages on your website like a contact page. Make sure that you make it easy. So if someone doesn't take action on your contact page, what you could do is maybe just a video that goes out that says, hi, my name is Helen, saw you were looking at our contact page. Is there anything I can help you with? Such a simple question. And that then plays to them in their social feed. So effective. And then the other way you can look at it is anybody that engages with your social content. So if they're engaging with your videos, in other words, they're watching your videos, if they're engaging with your social content on Facebook or LinkedIn, you can remarket to them. You do need to remarket on specific channels for this. So, you can't cross channels. You can with Facebook and Instagram, because of course they both belong to Facebook, and you can with YouTube and Google, but you can't otherwise. And the other thing that you can remarket to, and I think it's a very effective thing for people to do, is your email list. So in other words, you send out emails. And what do we hear time and time again is people saying, email open rates are dropping. So this is a really effective way to get better open rates to emails, or getting people to take action on the content in your emails. So whatever content you're sending out in your email, just do a little ad to the same database of people. And when they're online, they'll see that. And that works really well. So, if you've got some particular content that you want people to see, do a remarketing ad to them as well. So those are 3 very effective ways to set up remarketing. So it is a complicated process, and you do need to set it up, but it's really worth doing. It's really worth learning how yourself, getting someone in your team to do it, or otherwise engaging with someone like myself to find someone that's an expert in this to help you and your team make sure that you've got a remarketing system that absolutely zings. So other things that you need to be cognizant of when you're setting up a remarketing is you need to make sure that you track really well. So you need to track your data properly, so you can see what is and what isn't working, and you can switch off the stuff that doesn't work, and you can really utilize the stuff that does, and make sure your messages stay on track. You've got to sort of segment your audience by what they read and what they engage with. And that's what's so fantastic about remarketing, is it feels a lot more authentic in the way that we communicate with people. It's a word that's overused, I think, sometimes on social. But this idea that, someone sees something. So I read a post maybe about search engine optimization, or I read something about, a specific diet, a dietary product. So it might be something to do with good gut bacteria, for instance. And I read this blog post, and it's on your site, and maybe you sell a number of things, but one of the products you sell is good gut bacteria. You can start remarketing to me with ads that are specifically about gut bacteria. So segmenting your audience at this stage is really, really vital. You can exclude your customers. And so in other words, people that have already purchased from you, you can exclude them from remarketing lists so they don't see your adverts. And sometimes a good thing to do is actually market to your existing customers with special offers and keeping you top of mind. So if you've got new things coming out, how often do you hear people say, well, I didn't know you did that? Let them know what you're doing and what's happening within your business as well. And the other final tip is, remember, you've got to remarket across Google and across Facebook, and they're different pixels. So you need to install both those pixels on your website so that you can track properly. So those are my tips today. I don't know, do you do any remarketing? Is it something that you would be interested in finding out a little bit more about? And if so, let me know, and I can either help you, otherwise I can point you in the right direction of someone that can. Have a fantastic day, and don't leave money on the table. Set up a remarketing system in your business. Any questions at all, pop them in below, and I'll do my very, very best to answer them. If I can't, I'll find someone who can. Cheers. Have a fantastic week. Bye.